Wednesday,
October 23rd, 2013. This is Blue Skies Truth Radio.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Blue Skies Truth Radio Show with your host, Bauer, coming to you from our studios in the beautiful Toronto, Canada. This is episode 11. On today's show, we'll be talking about the alternatives to the 8 foods the experts won't eat. We'll be hearing 2 more interviews from the March Against Monsanto version 2, a new segment on the show called Why Can't You Get My Bill Right? And in light of all the wars going on at the moment, open wars and covert wars that are happening all over the planet right now, I wanted to read a little bit from an article called All Wars Are Banker Wars, written by Mike Rivero of WhatReallyHappened.com. On our last show, episode 10, we talked about the benefits of sprouting, we heard an interview with Jen Smiley of Kids Right to Know, and we mentioned 8 foods the experts won't eat. Great show. The time flies by so quickly doing the show, it's sometimes difficult to get in everything that I want to. For example, we wanted to share 8 alternatives to the 8 foods the experts won't eat, and we just didn't have time, so let's hit that now. Number 1 was canned tomatoes. Because of the acidity in the tomatoes, BPA was leaking into the actual mixture. So you can choose tomatoes in glass bottles, which don't actually require resin linings, such as brands from Bio Nature and Coluccio. You can also get several types in Tetra Pak boxes, like Trader Joe's and Pommy. Number 2. The farmer won't eat corn-fed beef. Joel Saladin is owner of Polyface Farms, and he wrote about a half a dozen books on sustainable farming. The problem was that cattle evolved to eat grass, not grains, but farmers today feed their animals corn and soybeans, which fatten up the animals for faster slaughter. What you can do is buy grass-fed beef, which can be found at specialty grocers, farmers markets, and Whole Foods. It's usually labeled because it demands a premium, but if you don't see it, ask your butcher. Number 3, the toxicologist will not eat microwave popcorn because of the chemicals that were leaking into the popcorn from the bag. The solution is buying organic kernels and popping them the old-fashioned way in a skillet or in a popcorn machine. For flavorings, you can add real butter or dried seasonings. So that's pretty cool. If you're still eating microwave popcorn, you're not fully grasping the health consequences. Number 4, the farm director won't eat non-organic potatoes. That's right. The potatoes were doused. Root vegetables absorbed herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides that wind up in the soil. So, the solution, buying organic potatoes. Washing isn't good enough if you're trying to remove the chemicals that have been absorbed into the flesh. Budget tip, organic potatoes are only $1 to $2 a pound, slightly more expensive than conventional spuds. Alright, number 5, the fisheries won't eat farmed salmon. Dr. David Carpenter, director of the Institute for Health and the Environment at the University of Albany, he published a major study in the journal Science on contamination in fish. He says he will not eat farmed fish. The solution, switching to wild-caught Alaska salmon. If the package says fresh Atlantic, it's farmed. There are no commercial fisheries left for wild Atlantic salmon. Farmed fish versus wild fish. How healthy is the fish? At your favorite grocery store. Number 6 was the cancer researcher who will not drink milk produced with artificial hormones. Rick North is a project director at the Campaign for Sale of Food at Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility and the CEO for Oregon Division of the American Cancer Society. He suggests that you buy raw milk or check labels for RBGH-free, RBST-free produced milk without artificially hormones and just buy organic milk, basically. All right, number 7, the biotech specialist who won't eat conventional soy, GMOs. He will not eat GMOs at all. The solution, check the labels to ensure that soy is non-GMO or organic and never consume unfermented sources. If possible, contact the company to find out exactly where the non-GMO soy was obtained. All right, this one's really important. I'm going to read this in a little bit more in detail. The problem, genetically engineered food is a cause of great concern due to the manipulation of DNA and genetic code, including transfers from one species to another. Fermented soy is the only soy food fit for human consumption. And since almost 90% of soy in the world is genetically modified, if you are not ensuring sources are organic, long-term health problems are inevitable, especially since soy has been found to affect hormonal balance and even cause cancer. crazy. So make sure you check the labels to make sure that you're buying non-GMO. And the last one was the conventional apples. Mark Castell, former executive for agribusiness, will not eat apples. What does he do? He buys them organic. Coming back, we're going right into the interviews. Hey, it's Ryan from Blue Skies Radio. Do you eat food? Do you have a backyard? Do you have a balcony? Do you have a window? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you should be growing food. If you're not growing food, what are you thinking? You might be thinking it's a little bit too difficult. You don't know how to start. Well, give us a call at TorontoWormCompany.com and we'll show you how anyone can grow anywhere. 416-839-4769. It's your right to grow. I wasn't eating enough fruits or vegetables, that's why I turned to Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It's a unique multivitamin mineral complex in powdered form, a natural antioxidant that packs a whopping 115 fruits and vegetables within it to support optimal health and a healthy immune, cardiovascular, and digestive system. Give us a call today at 416-839-4769. That's 416-839-GROW. Coming in live from Yonge and Dundas with Rachel Parent. Very exciting to see her organize this March Against Monsanto version 2 here in Toronto. Rachel, how are you doing today?
Good, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much. You're a big inspiration to a lot of people in Toronto, and I was very inspired personally to see you step up for our right to know.
For sure. I mean, I feel like this is something that I needed to do and I wanted to do, and it's just such a huge issue, so we're creating awareness while we can, and Millions Against Monsanto was so great for organizing this event, and I had the pleasure to speak here today. So
that's excellent. A lot of people know you actually from the O'Leary interview. How was that?
That was actually amazing, and I had so much fun at that debate. He was a lot of fun to deal with, so.
It's really amazing to see how far you've come, and I was wondering, have you seen any changes, and how far have you come? What first introduced you to the GMO movement?
Well, a speech at school, and I've come from just, learning about GMOs briefly, and now I'm speaking at, even across the world. I'm speaking in Australia in December, and it's going to be amazing, so.
Wow, what are you doing in Australia?
I'll be speaking at a conference, and there's going to be, world leaders there, like Vandana Shiva and many others, so it'll be really great.
Oh, that's amazing. That is great. Who are the biggest companies right now that are genetically modifying our foods on planet Earth?
Well, definitely Monsanto, Bayer, Syngenta, Pioneer, and DuPont.
Wow, that's very scary. There's a lot of money to be made. From what I understand, they're actually introducing suicide genes into the food. What do you know about that?
Well, I'm not completely sure on that point of view, but my point of view is that, I'll get back to you on that for sure, but my point of view is that no matter what kind of GMO it is, it should be labeled.
That's right. What other countries are labeling GMOs?
Well, there's 64 countries around the world, and right now, Canada and the U.S. are the only two industrialized nations in the world that don't require mandatory GMO labeling.
That's very hard to believe. How does that happen at the top level?
Well, it's about creating awareness, and a lot of people here are left in the dark about this huge issue. Even if you go ask your average person walking around, they won't know what a GMO is. So that's the big issue. A lot of these other countries that have GMOs labeled, people know what they are. So that's what my organization is about, creating awareness.
That's excellent. Do you do any growing at home?
Yeah, actually, I grow many different herbs and different foods. It's easier that way, and it's fresh and non-GMO.
That's excellent. Give the folks at home some names of some of the fruits and vegetables that you grow at home.
Okay, peppers. Sometimes a stalk of corn, but that usually doesn't work out. I like sunflowers because I get the seeds. We're storing more seeds than growing at this point, but at least we're keeping them, and we keep organic lemon seeds and stuff like that. That way in the future, if we were to move somewhere warm, we can grow them.
Oh, that's very smart. How do you store your seeds for long-term longevity?
You just dry them out, and then they're good to go.
We appreciate your help. Where can people get more information?
Well, you can go to my website, www.kidsrighttoknow.com, or I'm on Facebook, and I'm at Twitter, which is at Rachel's News.
Rachel, thank you very much for taking this time to speak with us today on Blue Skies Truth Radio.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rachel, for that very exciting interview with Blue Skies Truth Radio. And guys, take a look for her on Facebook and gmo-news.com. And now it's time for our quote of the day.
This quote is brought to you by Toronto Worm Company, where anyone can grow anywhere. 416-839-4769. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. That quote was brought to you by Toronto Worm Company, where anyone can grow anywhere. 416-839-4769. That's 416-839-GROW.
Thank you, Taylor, for that quote, and thank you, George Orwell, from that book, 1984. All right, we wanted to give you a quick tutorial on how to download the show onto your phones. It's pretty straightforward, and depending on what device you're using will depend on the method you use. For iPhone, you can subscribe to the show through iTunes and use a podcast app to search the show. That's what my girlfriend does. That way she doesn't have to connect the phone to a computer every time she wants to download an episode to her iPhone. For Androids and other smartphones, just head to bstr.ca and you can find the episodes you want. The last 10 episode releases will show up on the first page. If you're looking for older episodes, you can click the archives in the sidebar on the right. Once you see the episode you want, simply press and hold on the download button. A menu will pop up giving you the options to listen or save and whatnot. Choose the save link and done. Now it's in your phone. Come back in a couple days and do it again for the next episode. The first time you do it, you may want to download all the shows, so you'll have a number of shows to download, but once you're caught up to date, it'll be pretty easy to pop into bstr.ca and download the last show twice a week. You'll be in and out, and then you've got it on your phone. If you're using an older phone or an MP3 player, you may want to use your computer to download the show, or you may have to use your computer. It's pretty simple in the same process, and I'll say it to help the folks at home who may not be too advanced on the computers. Simply go to bstr.ca, find the episodes you like, and right-click on the download button and hit download file or save as, and then choose a location. Most people choose the music folder, and then some even create a subfolder for the show. Once you hit the save button, you're good to go. It'll download in seconds to your music folder. You may have to import it into iTunes or drag and drop into MP3. And that's about it. Cool. Thanks a lot, guys, for your support. And of course, if you ever wanted to email the show directly, you can send us an email at bauer@bstr.ca. And if you want us to email the show directly to you, send us a request and we'll see if we can set that up. We're going to break for a minute. When we come back, we've got Jacob from TorontoSeedLibrary.com and a reading from the article, All Wars Are Banker Wars. Have you ever wanted to fly? The very first time I saw my father fly by with his rollerblades, I knew that was something I wanted to do. 25 years later, I'm a trained professional. Hi, I'm Ryan from TorontoWormCompany.com, and I'm here to let you know that rollerblading is the best feeling I've ever had in my life. Take it from me, I've been skydiving, I've been go-karting, I've even gone swimming with sharks, but nothing compares to that feeling I get when I rollerblade. The wind blowing in your hair, people are smiling at you, they all want to do it. You can see it in their eyes, they just want to grab some skates and skate with you. Well, now's your chance, world. Give me a call at 416-839-4769 and you can learn to fly. You are now listening to Toronto's trippiest radio station. This is Blue Skies Radio, where we get together, share some laughs, tell some truth stories, and watch the chemtrails fly. Tune in Monday through Friday. Hey, Blue Skies Truth Radio. We're coming in live with Jacob from TorontoSeedLibrary.org. Jacob, very exciting to see you here again today. How are you doing?
I'm doing swell. How are you, Ryan?
I'm well, thanks. What did you think of the turnout today?
It was inspiring to see so many people gathered, not just against Monsanto, but in support of seed freedom, in support of alternatives. I saw a lot of farmers, a lot of growers, a lot of people really excited about growing and saving and sharing their own seeds. And so we're hoping to support people through building neighborhood-based community seed libraries across the city of Toronto, but also across the province and across the world, partnering with public libraries, schools, community centers, so that anybody who wants to grow will have free access to locally grown organic seeds, and then the knowledge and the know-how and the resources to grow those seeds.
That is amazing. We were talking a minute ago about gardens in schools. What can the people do in order to help ensure that we get a garden in every school?
Just go to the schools and talk to them. If you know of any teachers, anybody working in the school system, start talking to them about how beneficial school gardens are to the health of everything and everyone. You can work with organizations in the city that are already doing that. There's PACT, Learn to Grow. There's Green Thumbs Growing Kids. Green Thumbs Growing Kids just launched their Imagine a Garden in in every school in the province campaign, which I'm a total support of, as well as a kitchen in every school, because kids have to know how to cook and prepare this food once it's grown. I mean, you hand somebody like a rutabaga and they're going like, what do I do with this, right? So we have to really educate people and connect gardens and kitchens and really reintegrate it back into the school curriculum. You know, every school in the past used to have a garden. Kids were actually graded on how well their veggies grew. No kidding. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but now kids have very low awareness of where their food comes from, which is resulting in a childhood obesity epidemic. And the other half of kids are eating poison and are totally sick, or they're not accessing food at all. I mean, a third of the people, the hundreds of thousands of people in the city of Toronto who are depending on food banks are children under 16.
Oh my goodness. Who should be growing food, Jacob?
Everybody.
Wow, what a down-to-earth person Jacob is. Thank you very much, Jacob, for the interview with Blue Skies Truth Radio. I'm going to cut the interview in half in the interest of time. If you guys want to hear the second half of the interview with Jacob, please tune into next episode. Thank you very much, Jacob, once again. It was great seeing you at the March Against Monsanto version 2 in Toronto, where Blue Skies Truth Radio was very proud to be a part of. All right, so moving along, we're actually taking a look at All Wars Are Bankers' Wars by Mike Rivero of WhatReallyHappened.com. He wrote an excellent article. It's very lengthy. I suggest you grab yourself a cold drink and sit down and read it. I'm going to introduce about a couple of paragraphs of it now before we move on to that new segment I promised. All right, All Wars Are Banker Wars by Mike Rivero. I know how many people have a great deal of difficulty comprehending just how many wars are started for no other purpose than to force private central banks onto nations. So let me share a few examples so that you understand why the US government is mired in so many wars against so many foreign nations. There is ample precedent for this. The United States fought the American Revolution primarily over King George III's Currency Act, which forced the colonists to conduct their business only using printed banknotes borrowed from the Bank of England at interest. After the Revolution, the new United States adopted a radically different economic system in which the government issued its own value-based money, so that private banks like the Bank of England were not siphoning off the wealth of the people through interest-bearing banknotes. Quote, the refusal of King George III to allow the colonies to operate an honest money system, which freed the ordinary man from the clutches of the money manipulators, was probably the prime cause of the revolution. Close quote. Benjamin Franklin, founding father. But bankers are nothing if not dedicated to their schemes to acquire your wealth and know full well how easy it is to corrupt a nation's leaders. Just 1 year after Meyer Amschel Rothschild had uttered his famous, "Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I do not care who makes the laws," the banker succeeded in setting up a new private central bank called First Bank of the United States, largely through the efforts of the Rothschilds' chief U.S. supporter Alexander Hamilton. Founded in 1791, by the end of its 20-year charter, the First Bank of the United States had almost ruined the nation's economy while enriching the bankers. Congress refused to renew the charter and signaled their intention to go back to a state-issued value-based currency on which the people paid no interest at all to any banker. This resulted in a threat from Nathan Meyer Rothschild against the United States government, quote, either the application for a renewal of the charter is granted, or the United States will find itself involved in a most disastrous war, close quote. Well, that was about it. I'm going to read for you now. That was the introduction to All Wars Are Banker Wars by Michael Rivero on WhatReallyHappened.com. I strongly suggest that you guys take a look at that article. And moving from one type of criminal to another, this brings us to our segment, Why Can't You Get My Bill Right? We just found out our internet service provider is going to be charging us an extra $25 a month because the numbers we were given when we signed up were incorrectly provided to us, and as a result, it is our fault. Why can't you get my bill right? Gotta love the fact that we live in Canada. They say we have free competition, but every one of the big service providers have the exact same price points on all their plans. Wireless, internet, home phone. Kind of makes you wonder, are they meeting in the back rooms and making deals on how to screw us Canadians over? You bet. Make sure you tune in next week to hear the second part of the interview with Jacob from TorontoSeedLibrary.com. And remember, pick up your organic seeds so that you can sprout with us at the end of the month. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 11 at Blue Skies Truth Radio. We love you.
Ooh, yeah. I love that Blue Skies Radio. Dig it.